Hey everyone, well, I tell you what, we have an exciting guest. Now, this person has been a part of the community for a long time, contributes a lot in the comments, as well as does a pretty good job of making fun of me. And that person is none other than Mr. Ken Nixon. So I'm really excited to dive into his story, hear how he got into locksmithing, and well, I'm sure we're going to have a little fun in the meantime as well. So let me bring him in here.
Hey, hi there.
Mr. Ken, thank you for coming on and hanging out for a bit. It's really awesome to meet you screen to screen here.
Well, thanks for having me. I always kind of enjoy all your stuff there and learn a lot too. So.
Yeah, thank you. So, Ken, you've been a part of the Lockboss community for quite a while, and I want to thank you for that, for all your contributions. And you and I were talking on the phone a few days ago, and you started kind of telling me a little bit about your story, and I became extremely interested in some of your background and how you ventured into locksmithing. So if you wouldn't mind, could you kind of tell us what you were doing before locksmithing?
When I was a child, I always had a passion for locks. I used to always have a little padlock of some kind in my pocket and stuff. That was one of my passions, and so was fireworks. And I grew up in Nebraska, and I moved to California in my teenage years. And then in this state of California, fireworks is like a drought. You can't have any good fireworks stuff. So I was always just kind of collecting locks here and there and buying little locks. And I went to college, got a degree in mechanical engineering, worked out in the industry for a while. But then I sort of drifted back to the fireworks stuff and got involved with some professional manufacturers and display companies in California, trying to figure out how can we shoot fireworks timed to music, because it's really hard to light it with a flare and even get it to end at the same time as the finale. So with my brother, we started a company called Pyro Digital, where we invented and made computerized firing systems. That was my business, and for many, many years marketed that, sold all that equipment worldwide. There's a bunch of it installed in like Disney, and it went out on tour with Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones, you name it, all over the place. I have a competitor or two, but, after so many years, eventually I sold that business to my longtime friends and customers in Germany. And so I was retired. So now, back then, that was about 2015, I started picking up locks again. Was my other childhood passion. So I'm amazed how much at my age, how much I can learn. So I just kept learning and digging and collecting more.
Ken, so I want to stop you there for a second if I can, and I'll kind of rewind a little bit. So when it came to the fireworks and the stuff that you were doing, help me kind of understand. I mean, when I think of fireworks, I think of, put it down a pipe, light it, put it down a pipe, let it go up, or something you set on the ground, right, and light the fuse. Right. Yeah. Uh-huh. It sounds like the type of fireworks that you were doing were not like that.
Well, they were commercial shells. I was in the aerial market, so it's the same kind of thing. The shell in the tube, only they're much larger, and they can go up. The biggest we usually shot commercially were 12 inches in diameter, the size of a basketball, and they're fired out of a mortar. So how do you light that? Well, there's a thing called an electric match that looks like a match, but it's got a couple of wires sticking out of them, and it will light the black powder, and the shell will go up in the air. So a larger shell is going to take more time to get up into the sky. So you have to, if you want to sync it with music, you have to shoot it in advance of when you want it to appear. So that was the crux of the whole system, and to fire it in time with music. And then it became starting adding water screens and lasers and all these things that customers did, and kind of, pioneered and developed that whole system, and was received well throughout the world. There was an install that just came out of Epcot down in Florida at Disney. It was there for like 20 years. Fired every nightly show without a hitch. I mean,
Wow.
that was my passion, fireworks. I did a lot of displays. I shot Lake Tahoe display, the largest west of the Mississippi, for like 30 years, and learned a lot about design, choreography of the fireworks to music. So that was my
Interesting.
passion, and it wasn't always fire fun. It was a lot of firework too. So
Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. So, I'm gonna, so like when you get into like a trade of some sort, like
yeah,
locksmithing, like you can never really look at locks the same as before you knew stuff, right?
well, that's
And
true. Yeah.
and so when it comes to like you watching firework displays,
Yeah.
can you sit there and enjoy them, or are you like have all these things going around in your head?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm a little jaded. I went to some international symposium on fireworks in Japan, where I see some of the finest shells that are made that are not for export. They're only in Japan by artists, and like to see those kind of shells and then see a generic commercial show. Well, ho-hum. But I still enjoy fireworks. I mean, there's the consumer end, like your backyard fireworks, which are always a lot of fun too. So that's more fire fun. And with all the big shows, it's a lot of work because you have to have a pipe mortar for every shell, and it's a lot of physical labor to set up an aerial show.
Absolutely, yeah, and I guess it's probably fairly high pressure as well to like for the event or whatever they're doing. Like you can't be like, hey, sorry, you know what? It's going to take us a day to get this fixed.
Well, that's right. It's when you turn it on and it starts shooting, whoosh, it was working because there's a lot of pressure in that end. But I never really bothered me. I always had a lot of confidence, and that showed through everything I did, and that gave me the ability to market that system worldwide. And the customers took it and showed it around the world. I had one customer that took it on tour with all the rock groups and all that, and it exposed it all over the world, and that was great for business. It's just, it was a passion. So, but
Very cool.
I had to retire. I mean, it's a lot of work, so I started looking at my other passion, which was locks, so locksmithing. So I just kind of study everything. I'm a big collector of all kinds of locks. I got piles of them on my desk here. Here's a bank vault time lock. I put three different kinds of timers in there, electronic, mechanical. I don't know, safe lock sitting on my desk here. This is an X09 DoD safe lock. How about an M3 or an M4 medical all-weather padlock? Even a little Abbess cutaway, Abbess Pfaffenheim. So cool. I just really love locks. So that's really where I'm coming from. So I have a passion for locks.
Very cool. Now, so you get done with so while you're doing the fireworks stuff, were you also still dabbling with locks, or did you not?
Collect them occasionally, but never really serious into it. I mean, I had some Best type locks when I was a kid, and I really never understood them. And when Best was bought by Stanley, and then it became open more to the public and locksmiths, then I really dove into small format interchangeable cores and learned so much about that. It was really totally fascinating.
Very cool. And so you started going down the road, and then what made you want to actually become a locksmith and actually do some locksmithing work for others?
Well, that's kind of like friends and friends of friends. And, I don't have to do it for a living. So I'm not going to open the drunk's car at 3 a.m. I don't need to do that automotive stuff. Automotive doesn't interest me as much. It's more high security stuff. So I'm just, work on some friends' gun safes and do things like that, or rekey the vets' clinics' doors. And just, I don't have to work at it to make a lot of money at it, because I've already retired and have a successful business, fortunately. So I can enjoy it. And just, and I'm a member of ALOA and a member of the SAVTA, the Safe and Vault Technicians Association. So I just enjoy that kind of stuff, and without the pressure of having to do it on a daily basis. So I'm fortunate in that respect.
Absolutely. It's very cool that, you had this entire career. You ended up selling the business and you really went after one of your childhood passions, which is locks and keys and that sort of thing. But you didn't stop there. You actually created a locksmithing business, which is Pyro Lock, which after hearing your story, the name makes perfect sense.
Right. Let me show you. This was the company, Pyro Digital Consultants. It's one of my T-shirts. So it was Pyro Digital. So Pyro Lock seemed to follow that. So, and Pyro Digital still exists. You can Google it, and the Germans that own it make all that equipment. They improved upon it, and it's carrying the legacy forward. So that's really nice to have stuff still out there.
Very cool. And so now you get to just enjoy when you want to enjoy doing lock work. And
that's right.
And it also seems that your passion for locks and keys is stronger than ever as you've dug deeper.
Yeah, for sure. I love to take them apart and look inside some of the real high security stuff. It gets pretty complicated inside. And, I'm kind of a mediocre picker, and I follow those guys and watch them take apart locks so I can see what's inside. That's really the part that fascinates me, is all the little mechanisms and pins and everything that's in there.
Sure. Well, that's very cool. Now, you do have a YouTube channel that you post some stuff on, right?
Yeah, occasionally. Yeah, some silly stuff on there. It's more kind of an education. I don't pick things. I take them apart and show you, what's inside, what's new, what's some unusual stuff you probably have not seen before.
Yes, and I did watch that video on it. Was a gas lock.
The old tear gas lock. Yeah,
the tear gas. That thing's freaky. I don't know.
It was something they built in the 1920s, and not something you could do today, but it kind of, it could go off on you accidentally,
Yeah, I don't know how comfortable I'd be servicing that lock.
I don't know. Well, I guess some of the safe guys run into that. In old safes, they would put a tear gas thing in there, so you have to be aware of it. And if it's really made, if you beat on the safe and everything, it'll go off. But if you open it correctly and without damaging it, you can just remove that thing without that going off.
Absolutely.
You don't want it to go off.
Yeah, you don't want that to go off. I have been in a situation with a safe that had one of those go off. And,
that's pretty funny, actually, but not funny at the time.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, but well, shoot, Ken, that is, it's been great hanging out with you, talking to you, and such a fascinating story from fireworks to then following your passion with locksmithing. And probably the thing I find most fascinating is that as you took that passion that you had for locks and keys, and you've, even after a long successful career, you decided to start another one, essentially, but this time more on your terms, but nonetheless,
right.
You're still doing it.
Well, yeah, I'm just amazed how much I've learned in a bunch of years. Just, to be successful, you got to follow your passion. That's what you're doing, PJ. You have very much a passion for that, and it shows in everything you do. So that's the key to success. If you don't like what you're doing, then why are you doing it?
That's a good point. Well, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
And, sometimes you're going to have the lows. You got to have the lows to have the highs. So you're not going to have a great day. And I'm glad I'm doing this all the time. Sometimes, but
sure,
that's life,
That is life. Yep. Absolutely. Well, Ken, that has been fun. Thank you for all the comments and all the interactions in the Lockboss community. And we'll have to have you on live soon and let the community
they can
some questions.
Me, Yep. Thanks, PJ. Keep up the good work there.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I tell you what, that was a fun, great conversation with Ken Nixon. I really enjoyed meeting him, and I'm sure that you enjoyed his story as well. But in the comments below, I would love to hear what you think and thoughts to Ken, and it was really nice for him to come on and hang out with us for a little bit. And make sure when you leave that comment, you include the hashtag Lockboss to automatically get entered in to win one of 5 free prizes we give away each week here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
What's wondering what was that? The last video that we broadcast, you had your suit on and stuff on with the president of Aloha, Bill there, and then it showed you with your suit and tie. And I thought, was it a wedding or a funeral or what's going on?
That was my face photoshopped on a suit.
Okay, that was good.
But yeah, now that I'm thinking, I'm going to try to get this video pushed out next week if possible, because it might be kind of fun to have you on the Tuesday after the 4th of July fireworks.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
That's right. It's firework,
Yeah, it is firework. That's a good one. I like that one.
Wow. It was a big commercial show.